Mayorkas says when Title 42 expires at midnight tonight, anyone who arrives at the southern border will be presumed ineligible for asylum and face consequences. But with holding facilities already overwhelmed, the administration is ratcheting up tough rhetoric while also clearing the way for mass releases into U.S. communities with no way for authorities to track people.
You said at the beginning that you've prepared for this moment for almost 2 years. So why is part of that plan an honor system?
It is not an honor system. They are subject of our apprehension efforts.
But under parole release, authorized by the U.S. Border Patrol chief last night, migrants do not receive an alien registration number for authorities to track them. They don't even get a court date. Instead, migrants are asked to turn themselves into ICE within 60 days to start immigration proceedings on themselves.
Other people watching this, they know what they see. This is a wide open border.
Florida's Attorney General is suing the administration, arguing the parole plan is identical to a policy a federal judge struck down earlier this year.
We have confidence in the lawfulness of our actions.
Plans to release migrants at bus stops, gas stations, and supermarkets was first detailed last year, according to a memo uncovered by the Florida legal proceedings. Today, Texas Governor Greg Abbott sent a busload of migrants to the vice president's residence.
Sad, tragic day when a government official uses migrants as a pawn for political purposes.
But the administration is still punting the problem to Congress to solve, even as Biden vows to veto the Republican bill just passed to secure the border.
House Republicans passed the strongest border security bill this country has ever seen.
Today, Mayorkas set the record straight on the border agents accused of whipping migrants last year. Mayorkas saying that did not happen, but he didn't take the chance to apologize to those agents who were smeared by both the president and the vice president, who said that the images evoked some of the nation's worst moments, our past history of slavery. Meantime, plans for the president to meet with the Big Four congressional leaders over the debt limit tomorrow has been postponed to next week. We're told talks are progressing, and this is a positive development, Brad.
Jackie Hamilton, North Lawn. Jackie, thank you. A fourth straight day of losses for the Dow. The industrial average fell 222. The S&P 500 was off 7. The Nasdaq gained 22. Last night's town hall with former President Donald Trump sounded a lot like his greatest hits album. The president repeating some long-standing positions on issues such as the 2020 election, the Capitol riot of January 6th, and the border crisis. Although some news was made, Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel looks at some of the highlights.
In battleground New Hampshire, in front of a friendly audience, former President Trump used a nationally televised town hall to weigh in on critical issues, including the crisis at the southern border. He did not rule out reviving migrant family separations.
But when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come.
On the current fight in Washington over the nation's growing debt, Mr. Trump drew a hard line.
I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do it default.
The former president would not commit to a nationwide abortion ban.
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country.
Mr. Trump also claims he can end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours and was asked directly if Vladimir Putin is a war criminal.
I think it's something that should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, a potential candidate himself, accused the former president of being Putin's puppet. The former president said he's inclined to pardon many of the January 6th rioters.
They were there with love in their heart.
And he dismissed E. Jean Carroll's sexual abuse claims.
You're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room.
After the town hall, the Biden campaign reacted on Twitter. It's simple, folks. Do you want 4 more years of that? The campaign trail is due to heat up this weekend with President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis doing events in Iowa. Fox News has confirmed DeSantis has earned the endorsements of 2 high-profile Iowa Republicans, State Senate President Amy Sinclair and State House Majority Leader Matt Winchell, before DeSantis is officially a candidate.
Well, President will be there. Governor of Florida will be there. We will be on the ground in Iowa as well. Mike, thanks. Former President Trump is appealing the verdict in that civil lawsuit brought by advice columnist Eugene Carroll. The former president was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation. Carroll accused him of raping her in a department store dressing room in the mid-1990s, something the president said he did not do and did not even know this woman, in his words. The former president was ordered to pay $5 million in damages. He insists he's never met her, does not know who she is. Carroll's lawyer says she may now sue the former president again over his comments at that town hall last night. Breaking tonight, a Marine veteran who placed what turned out to be a fatal chokehold on a homeless man who was causing a disturbance on a New York subway train will be charged with second-degree manslaughter. That decision was announced a short time ago in New York. Senior correspondent Laura Engel has details there. Good evening, Laura.
Good evening, Brett. You know, we've been waiting for this decision from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office since last week. Now there's a plan in place for former Marine Daniel Penny to turn himself into police tomorrow morning. The Manhattan DA's office releasing a statement to Fox saying this: "We can confirm that Daniel Penny will be arrested on a charge of manslaughter in the second degree. We cannot provide any additional information until he has been arraigned in Manhattan Criminal Court, which we expect to take place tomorrow." Jordan Nealon's death was ruled a homicide by the city's medical examiner's office, and for days, protesters have been in the streets here in New York demanding charges against Penny, calling his death a murder. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been urging New Yorkers to trust the system while the case has been reviewed by the Manhattan DA, asking the public to allow the investigation to play out.
And let's be clear, let's be honest. There are more Jordans out there. I said this over and over again. I see them. I talk to them. I interact with them. And so we need to make sure we prevent these things from happening.
And attorneys for Daniel Penny have said there is no way that Penny could have foreseen that his attempt to subdue a perceived threat would turn deadly. And in New York, manslaughter in the second degree is described as the reckless cause of death of another person. If found guilty, Penny could receive 3.5 to 15 years in prison. Brett?
We'll follow that, Laura. Thank you. Former CIA Director John Brennan testified today on Capitol Hill about an October 2020 letter he signed dismissing the Hunter Biden laptop story. Brennan ignored reporter questions as he walked into the committee room today for more than a 4-hour transcribed interview. He and 50 other former intelligence officials signed that letter. House Republicans say the letter was used to help the Biden campaign, especially in the presidential debate. Up next, the latest on the fighting between Palestinian militants and Israeli troops.
You inspired the Lexus ES to be, well, more you. So thank you. We hope you like your work.
We talk about cash backing. Not a game. Not a game.
Talking about cash back.
We talking about cash backing.
We talking about cash back. We talking about cash back. We talking about cash back.
Not a game.
We talking about practice.
Too long. Word. No practice. We talking about cash back.
Talking about cash back.
We're not talking about a game. Cash back like that. Chase Freedom Unlimited. How do you cash back? Chase, make more of what you use.
If you have diabetes, it's important to have confidence in the nutritional drinks you choose. Try Boost Glucose Control. It's clinically shown to help manage blood sugar levels. It contains high-quality protein to help manage hunger and support muscle health. Try Boost today.
Choosing Miracle Air was a great decision. Like when I decided to host my own overnights. Miracle Air made it easy. I just work out of public. A certified care care professional evaluating my movements. And helped find the right device calibrated to my needs for movements. Now we enjoy every moment. My ones and the loud ones.
Sound decision. Call 1-800-MIRACLE now and book your free hearing evaluation.
She found it. The feeling of finding the psoriasis treatment she's been looking for. Sotiju is the first of its kind, one daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. For the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding that outfit psoriasis tried to hide from you. Or finding your swimsuit is ready for prime time. is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the backbone. It's not known if TYK2 has the same risks as Dr. Bruce. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. Ask your dermatologist about TYK2 for clearer skin. So clearly you. So TYK2.
When every second counts, ADT self-start with video verification helps police respond faster, so you get help sooner. You can even request help with just a tap.
We have a verified alarm.
So you have a home with no worries. Brought to you by ADT.
Not to brag, but I just switched to Verizon.
Wow.
And I got to choose the phone I wanted for free.
Not that you're bragging.
Choose the phone you want on us during our spring savings event.
On the network worth bragging about.
Verizon.
So with the walls finally closing in on Joe Biden from the border to the White House, disaster moved to your president. Full coverage right here on air.
In the future, everything will be powered by renewable energy. But it's not as easy as flipping a switch. It's a long road, requiring decades of time and trillions of dollars. But what if there was a better direction and a path to zero carbon emissions? An energy source that's available right now, that's affordable, plentiful, and environmentally friendly. There is, and it's propane. Get the facts at propane.com/now.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Home of Lowe's showed up right on time, and they buy dishes, buy laundry, they even clean my windows. I love that you just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
Can you cook all-encrusted salmon to roasted broccoli with just a scan? Zavala delivers fresh meals that cook perfectly in our smart oven, so every bite is juicy, crispy, and seriously delicious. Start your 100-day risk-free trial at Zavala.com.
The prime suspect in the 2005 disappearance of American teenager Natalie Holloway will be extradited from Peru to the U.S. Moran Vandersloot is currently serving a 28-year sentence for the murder of a 21-year-old Peruvian woman. Holloway was 18 when she vanished on a high school graduation class trip to Bolivia. Overseas now, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says his country's military needs more time to prepare an anticipated counteroffensive against Russian invaders. Zelensky tells the BBC it would be unacceptable to launch the assault now because too many lives would be lost, although fighting has increased around Bakhmut in recent days. Ukrainian pushback is expected any time. Pakistan's Supreme Court has ordered the release of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. He's been detained for questioning concerning corruption allegations. His arrest earlier this week sparked a wave of violence across the country by his supporters. Now he's been released. Gaza militants continue to fire hundreds of rockets into Israel as the Israeli military targets terror leaders there. Regional powers and the United Nations are calling for a truce. Correspondent Trey Yanks is in Israel tonight with the latest. Good evening, Trey.
Brett, good evening. It's one rocket barrage after another coming from Gaza as the Israeli military strikes Islamic Jihad targets, the group responsible for this firing. The Israelis have taken out 2 additional rocket commanders today. Here's a look at what's unfolded over the past several hours. Right now, Israel's missile defense system, the Iron Dome, is working to intercept orders and
blows up the rockets before they hit the ground.
But
there's still metal and shrapnel and shit that's gotta fall. Yeah.
Ceasefire talks have collapsed at the moment between Israel and Islamic Jihad.
Oh.
The sound of rockets exploding overhead are followed by the cries of civilians.
Okay, so there's been a direct impact in the city of Sderot. We're not sure if there's any injuries. We're just getting to the scene. Just a few minutes ago, rockets slammed into this home in the southern Israeli city of Sderot. One man was home at the time, but he survived because he was inside the bomb shelter.
There's nothing we can do, 74-year-old Shimon Alon says. We've been living with this for the past 20 years. This afternoon, one person was killed in the Israeli city of Rehovot, 8 others injured. For now, ceasefire talks appear to have collapsed.
Right, Trey is live in Israel. Trey, thank you. Up next, we'll take you live to Tijuana, Mexico, to see the impact of the coming expiration of Title 42 asylum rules on that side of the border. First, beyond our borders tonight, a van transporting oxygen tanks explodes in the center of Milan, Italy. It forced the evacuation of a nursery school and residential apartment buildings. One person was reported injured. And this is lined up in Japan. One of the big stories there tonight. The financial leaders of a group of 7 nations are meeting in Hiroshima. The conference occurs as the U.S. debt ceiling and possible default looms over the global economy. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says one of her priorities is to emphasize the importance of resolving that standoff. Just some of the other stories beyond our borders tonight. We'll be right back.
Identical twins Bethany and Stephanie both struggled with CPAP for their sleep apnea, but Stephanie got inspired in a pump device that works inside the body. There's no reason to keep struggling.
Inspire. Learn more and important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Introducing Astapro Allergy. Steroid-free allergy relief that starts working in 30 minutes, while other allergy sprays take hours. Now with Astapro Best Allergy Relief, get Astapro and go. Hiring?
ZipRecruiter finds us the best people. I've hired everyone from supervisors to field scientists. With ZipRecruiter, we get hiring results.
Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Fox.
Sam was 8 when you got him. Giving him fresh food, wearing no ingredients and know what's in it is absolutely helpful. Taking care of him is really important because even if Sam lives to 20, it won't be long enough.
Book that trip to Vegas. This economy? Or are we rich? Are we rich?
Oh, what a relief. Our secret group addict and scary roger. Addict to reservoir.
We're not rich. I use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites to get a great deal on a flight, car, and hotel.
Who goes to the reservoir?
Kayak. Search one and done.
There's some things that go better together.
Proven funds, super simple.
Like your workplace benefits and retirement savings. With Voya, considering all your financial choices together can help you make smarter decisions for a more confident financial future.
Hey, tandem bicycle. You can't do that by yourself. Voya, well planned, well invested, well protected. Get 2 full years of NPR for 36 months this week to cover purchase and efforts on the next 5 the next 6 on the following to the final financial.
I'm Richard Carr, and I love my hose. My hose is lightweight. My hose will not kink. And my hose is anti-leak. It ain't those old hoses. This is my hose. The new pocket hose copper bond, now infused with real copper, so your water is always clean and lead-free. Just turn on the water and watch your hose grow and grow to a full-size 3/4-inch hose. And when you turn off the water, away it goes, shrinking and squeezing that water out until it's practically bone dry. Our new inner tube uses 3 layers of high-strength latex on the inside. Then it's wrapped in a new polymer filament jacket. The same technology used in forest fire hoses because it's light and tough. 3 times stronger than the other hoses. It's guaranteed for 10 years. Nearly impossible to tear or snag. And the redesigned connector protector with flexible collar helps stop leaks at the spigot. But my favorite part of our new hose build? The oversized, easy-to-grip fittings. Easy on and off, even with gloves. Perfect for power washing cars and trucks. Ready to go anywhere, even your Pocket. More than 100 patents worldwide. It's the best pocket hose in the world. Get the super light 25-foot pocket hose comparable to today for only $29.99. But wait, call now and get our Turbo Shot adjustable nozzle. From those delicate flowers to power washing your walkway. A $20 value, absolutely free. Comparable is not available in stores. This is the exclusive advanced release of our 2024 edition of Pocket Hose. There's a strict limit of 3 per order. Don't wait, order now.
Call 1-800-281-4084. That's 1-800-281-4084. Or visit ComparableHose.com. So call 1-800-281-4084 now.
Experienced by Positive Toe Fungus, Funky Cure eliminates 6 types of fungus to help your toes get back to normal in as little as 4 weeks. It's the strongest medicine you can get without a prescription. Get Funky Cure now in the bookcare app.
I can't take my eyes off my eyes.
My go-to is Lumify eye drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness. And look at the difference. My eyes look brighter and whiter for up to 8 hours. You'll love it first time. With Lumify. See for yourself.
Top story about the pending end of Title 42 asylum rules along the southern border. The policy ends at midnight. A massive surge of immigration and legal immigrants is expected. National correspondent Lee Washington is in Tijuana, Mexico.
Border Patrol tactical teams training for anything and everything at the San Ysidro Port of Entry.
Overrun facility, overrun facilities. I think you're just gonna have this more people just being released.
That's the hope of tens of thousands of migrants pulling out of holes in the border fence. Others waiting lines and living in camps that are growing. Border agents have been handing out wristbands so they know when migrants arrive, but some say they've been here for days and it's not clear what will happen next.
Had I known it was going to be like this, I would never have come. I've been here 4 days and they don't pay us anything. I don't know what I'll get to do.
Tijuana immigration authorities say they too are in the dark, receiving no direction on what to do when Title 42 expires. Biden advocates worry the government won't give asylum seekers a fair hearing.
But what I see is that the Biden administration is not complying with asylum rules and is placing people in greater harm.
And that fear could lead to more migrants crossing illegally.
I think they're going to disappear in some middle America. I think they're just going to vanish, get away from the borders.
So Tijuana police tell me they will not allow migrants to amass in large numbers at the ports of entry. However, the lines like you see here to get into the United States could get a lot longer and look different, depending on how the U.S. decides to handle that expected surge.
Right, pretty much nice live in Tijuana. Tonight's Common Ground segment focuses on the end of pandemic-related asylum rules, Title 42. This evening, we talk with 3 border town mayors about how they're preparing and what they're seeing on the ground. Joining us tonight are Mayor Cleo McCall of Sierra Vista, Arizona, Mayor Don McLaughlin of Gallup, Texas, and Mayor Javier Villalobos of McAllen, Texas. Mayors, thank you very much for the time. This is a busy time. We appreciate you taking a moment. Let me start with you, Mayor McCall. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? And are you people worried about what happens at 12 a.m.?
Thank you, sir. First, I appreciate you letting us be on camera. And, sir, we are positioned about 20 miles north of the port of entry. And what we're seeing now is that we have migrants that are at the port. They're about 100 per day, 140 sleeping afternoon, and they are being transported to Tucson, straight out of we, as a city of San Francisco, we don't have the resources or the infrastructure to support migrants being dropped in San Francisco. And there are no migrants being dropped in San Francisco, but they're being transported to Tucson, which is about 60 miles away, going to
listening.
It's totally different. Of course, you know, we've been dealing with this situation for over a decade. And unfortunately, a lot of the issues have gone somewhere else. For example, illegal gas, El Paso. Of course, we don't wish that on anybody. But here we go here in Brownsville. It's pretty much, I'd say pretty much at the massive right now. We know once 42 is lifted, we're going to get traditions again. We were expecting on the possibility of a few thousand within a couple of days, and we've pretty much prepared for that. We have a couple of juries that we know can have about 1,500. We had set up for about 2,000, but even before the lifting, we're already looking, we're expecting to have by today about 2,000 at our outside US camp. So we're wrapping up and trying to increase our capacity to about 5,000. This is not our problem. It's not a municipal issue. It's a federal government issue. But of course, we'll do what we got to do to keep on increasing.
Well, that's stressing a lot of towns and cities along the border. Mayor McLaughlin, one of the things that has been talked about in recent days are these mass releases. We have the Department of Homeland Security Secretary and senators on Capitol talking about that.
You can see the crowded SUV on now. You can see really crowded border patrol facilities. I cannot understand the strain on personnel and our facilities. But we know how to manage through such strain as difficult as it will be.
Street releases are just what you would think they are. These are individuals, they come in with a fingerprint them and information. They send them into the country and ask them to turn themselves in to an ICE agent in any location that they want to go to.
And McLaughlin, it does not seem tenable at the moment you're talking.
No, it's not. I mean, they tell us that they have it under control, but I can tell you right now, in our sector in Uvalde, that probably 75% of our border patrol, they're not on the border. They're in these processing places. The border's wide open. And right now they're telling us we're not going to release anybody in. But right now, Eagle Pass, they're getting 20 buses a day. Del Rio, I think, is sitting at about 1,700 right now. They're right at capacity. And so when they get that capacity, or then kind of like myself and Brackenville and that, you know, we have to worry they coming to us. And we don't have any resources here. We don't even have a bus that comes through here that's not full because it's already coming from Eagle Pass.
Look at the stats, man, McCall. Title 42 stats by sector, Del Rio, Tucson, Rio Grande Valley, and you see how many people were being expelled from the country using Title 42. Now that that's expiring, it takes a major tool out of the toolbox.
Yes, sir. I agree with Mayor Coffin. The issue is that our border patrol agents are now inside their processing facility, processing the migrants coming into the U.S. And that leaves our border wide open. Just talking with our sheriff, Mark Dallas, this morning. We still have a problem with load drivers and fentanyl coming across the border. We had chases yesterday with individuals here to South Syria. We still have a problem that just it's just compounding. And we still it's just a process
It's frustrating. You're the first voice, and I know these communities, all of them, communities are feeling it. Mayor Lopez, do you feel like there is a sense here in Washington that people are hearing you? Today the House passed this bill, but it does not look like it's going to go in place in the Senate. What do you want to see in Washington?
Actually, what we really want to see is some action. Finally, some action. And I must say, we don't have a whole range. It doesn't matter. I think it has to be either or do something. Because a lot of times they use this issue for a social issue to divide people to waste money. You know, it's a thing in the communities. I said it even years ago that it wasn't affecting too much people or communities in the north, but they passed from the border areas and all over the border. And now they're coming back. Yeah, when you want the mayor of New York, the mayor of Chicago, I'm talking about it before they make that. But this is something that we saw way before after our federal officials should have seen way before too.
Mayor McLaughlin, frankly, it's a matter of marketing in some of these towns, and I don't know about you specifically. The resources are just drying up.
census correct? 5. 2 incorrect. 2 are correct. And so every law enforcement officer we have is going to that. We constantly have foot traffic coming through park filters. I'm going to call you over 400 people ranchers, and all we do is show the road, get kill cameras of the number of people that are coming through a couple of fences. And all of these people that go towards the border security, it's not open. We don't have anybody there to catch anybody.
And we'll call followers over here. What do you want to see?
We want to see more support on the border, sir. Bottom line, we need support down here in federal agents to guard the border, to make sure that we don't have no posse chases through my town, no market from coming through. We need those border patrol agents stationed. I understand about the migrants coming across. I understand about the processing, but the border's wide open. Talk to the sheriff this morning. The border's wide open. We need to close it.
Mayors, we appreciate your time, and I know you're busy, and this is a huge issue that we've been covering for a long time, and thank you for your comments on coming.
Thank you very much.
For a series on education in America, looks at how many college campuses have gone from laboratory for free expression to an entry dish for woke repression, according to some.
Because when you experience Europe on a Viking longship, you spend less time eating rats and more time being Viking, exploring the world in comfort.
Huh? Oh.
Morning, everyone. Senator Dianne Feinstein returned to her post on the Senate Judiciary Committee today. She voted for 3 judicial nominees whose advancement had been stalled over a lengthy health-related absence. Feinstein appeared about 90 minutes into the meeting. She was given an ovation from senators and staff. The nomination votes were held shortly thereafter, putting the judges on track for votes on the full Senate floor in the coming weeks. Elon Musk says he has found a new CEO for Twitter. Musk did not name that person, but said she will be starting in about 6 weeks. Musk bought Twitter last fall and has been running since. He's been insisting he's not the company's permanent CEO. The Tesla billionaire says his role will transition from executive chairman and chief technology officer. Tonight, our education series continues with a look at how college campuses are no longer the free marketplace for ideas. Instead, many people consider them the home of the woke agenda. News correspondent Alexander Hoff.
Chaos has become the expectation when viewpoints deemed controversial by some arrive on college campuses. But the real harm, according to the nonpartisan Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, is for colleges to sanitize their schools of certain speech.
The worst thing that colleges can do for students is like lean into that victim mentality, lean into the idea that you're right, you're not capable of having this conversation. We're going to protect you.
According to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, last week the Medical College of Wisconsin canceled a panel discussion that included Republican Senator Ron Johnson, calling it unacceptably disruptive.
Conservatives are excluded. They can't even share their thoughts.
Adam Hoffman is a Princeton student who penned an opinion piece on the topic for the New York Times.
These conservative students are becoming further alienated from the institution.
But there are campuses pushing back. The University of Chicago shared its stance in a report, writing, "It is not the proper role of the university to attempt to shield individuals from ideas and opinions they find unwelcome." In FIRE's latest ranking, Georgetown University in D.C. was among the worst campuses for free speech.
I feel comfortable expressing any type of viewpoint, but I think that's because my viewpoints align with a lot of the people on campus. Some speech is more harmful than others, so it's important to recognize that.
And the Georgetown said that the university supports free expression that is geared toward respectful dialogue. They are private, so not technically bound by the First Amendment. I read this week Senator Tom Cotton introduced legislation that could strip federal funds from public universities for free speech violations. And we'll see what that one goes.
A lot of stories in education. Great job this week. Thanks, Alex. Up next, the panel on the Title 42 expiration and former President Donald Trump's explosive town hall. First, choose for some of our Fox affiliates around the country tonight. Fox 2 in San Francisco, where a new survey reveals only 17% of transit riders there feel safe on board amid a crime crisis. 73% want more police on that system. Almost half of the people who do not use it say fear and safety concerns are the reasons. Fox 5 in New York, as Mayor Eric Adams signs an executive order temporarily suspending parts of the city's long-standing right to shelter law. Today, migrants were bused from New York City to a nearby suburb. This comes a day after Mayor Adams announced a pause on the busing program. And this is a live look at Kansas City on Fox 4, our affiliate there. We're the big stories there tonight. The Super Bowl champion Chiefs will kick off the NFL season by hosting the Detroit Lions September 7th. The team will unveil a new Super Bowl 57 championship banner and have a brief on-the-field presentation before that game. Mark Glee right around the corner. That's tonight's live look outside the runway for a special report. We'll be right back.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
So you only pay for what you need.
That's my boy. And you get out there and you make us proud, huh?
Bye, Uncle Emu.
Stay
struggled with CPAP every night. But now that I got the Inspire implant, it's making me think of doing other things I've been putting off.
Like removing the tattoo of your first wife's name.
Inspire. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
What is Circle?
At Circle, we're building a digital dollar that brings the power of the internet to money.
Circle's the place where crypto meets stability.
Where local businesses meet global customers.
The US dollar meets USDC.
Meet Circle.
This is Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo for Men. Take a good look, because it's moving fast. It sold over 2 million bottles in Germany last year. To find out why, head over to Amazon and check out the reviews. Alpecin, German engineering for your hair.
Age is just a number. And mine's unlisted. Try Boost High Protein with 20 grams of protein for muscle health versus 16 grams in Ensure High Protein. Boost High Protein, now available in Cinnabon Bakery inspired flavor. Learn more at boost.com/TV.
Explore the mighty Mississippi River with American Cruise Lines. Aboard the newest fleet of modern riverboats, experience award-winning shore excursions and indulge in exquisite cuisine. Magnificent views await you from your private balcony, while our gracious onboard staff ensures that your voyage will be unforgettable. Visit americancruiselines.com or call for a free cruise guide.
Why did we choose Safeway? We're always working on a project while loading up our SUV. One extra push and frack. So we scheduled at Safeway.com. We were able to track our technician and knew exactly when he'd arrive. We could keep working. Safeway came to us.
Hi, I'm Kendrick.
Replaced our windshield and installed new wipers to protect our new glass. That service on our time.
Safeway repairs, Safeway replace.
This is going to be great. Taking the shawl off. Okay, I do it. Is he looking at my hairline? Is plaque psoriasis making you rethink your everyday choices? Otezla is a pill, not a cream or injection, that can help people with plaque psoriasis achieve clearer skin. And no routine blood tests required. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla have depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over 8 years. Don't hesitate. Ask your doctor about Otezla today.
With Verizon, you can now get a private 5G network, so you can do more than connect your business. You can make it feel smart. Now ports can know where every piece of code is and where it's going. Robots can predict breakdowns and order their own replacement parts. And retailers can enter the fashion trend of the day with a new line tomorrow. With a Verizon private 5G network, you can get more agility and security, giving you more control of your business. We call this enterprise intelligence from the network America relies on.
My name is Joshua Florence, and one thing I learned being a firefighter is plan ahead. You don't know what you're getting into, but at the end of the day, you know you have a team behind you that can help you. Not having to worry about the future makes it possible to make the present as best as it can be for everybody.
Asylum is not an open invitation to bum rush our borders. But the Democrats have made it precisely that. If you make a fraudulent asylum claim, you're now guaranteed to receive immediate admission into our country.
The majority has brought forward a cruel, extreme, and unworkable piece of legislation, which would wreck our economy, destroy the asylum system, criminalize visa overstays, send unaccompanied children back to dangerous situations, and jail children indefinitely.
Well, the debate on the House floor over H.R. 2, it ended up passing. Republicans passing a border security bill, Democrats pushing back, at times using visual aids. Sylvia Garcia from Texas on the House floor pointing to this picture, saying it's extreme. Problem was it was a picture from the Obama-Biden time along the border, so that the work out as well. But it is a time when Title 42 is expiring, and it's a big deal, as we talked about with those mayors earlier. Let's bring in our panel. Ben Domenech, editor-at-large for The Spectator, host of the Ben Domenech podcast on Fox News Radio. Vince Colonnese, WMA Washington top radio host, editorial director for the Daily Caller, and Meredith McGraw, political national political correspondent. Meredith, obviously Republicans got this across the finish line. There's zero hope that it's going to be taken up in any way, shape, or form, really, in the Senate, right?
Yeah, there's zero chance. The White House has already signaled that they would veto it, and there's really been no agreement. Republicans have been working for months to try to negotiate this bill and really deliver on their promise to handle the situation at the border. But for President Biden, this has really become a perfect storm of these migrants who are facing a humanitarian crisis at home and getting misinformation that the border is open, and the administration not having a clear enough and strong enough pushback.
We're looking live at Brownsville, Texas, from our flight team there along the border as the people continue to surge, Ben. And, with this legislation, though, it's similar to the debt ceiling a little bit in that Republicans can say, hey, we passed something. We passed this. It does X, Y, and Z. We passed the debt ceiling increase. Where is yours?
Yes. Right. And I think that one of the things that we've seen under this leadership in the Republican House is that they are really good at sticking to their guns. As slim as the majority is that they have, they've been able to manufacture and get through all of the different legislative processes that are necessary here. But I've been up and down from Brownsville to El Paso 7 times in the last 15 years, and it's one of these things where the changes that have happened along that border are tangible. The people who are coming across are completely different than they were under the Bush administration years ago. And yet our political establishment still uses a lot of the same language to talk about them. They talk about them as migrant workers that are essential to agriculture and things like that. That's not what's going on now. This is simply a profit mechanism for the cartels. It is a mechanism that is allowing them to charge these people who they are lying to in many different ways, and exorbitant amounts of money in order to funnel them across, often bringing fentanyl and requiring them to work for the cartels when they get on the other side in ways that are thoroughly damaging to the American populace and certainly extremely costly when it comes to the weight borne by cities across the country, including Chicago, New York, and etc., as you saw in some of the audio that you played earlier.
So here is Secretary Mayorkas, President Biden, and Speaker McCarthy.
I have said for months and months that the challenge at the border is and is going to be very difficult. And we have spoken repeatedly about the fact that that difficulty may actually only increase at this time of transition.
The White House has 2 years to plan for the end of Title 42. We all knew the deadline, but the White House produced no plan, missed the deadline, and bumbled into another crisis.
But you heard those mayors on the show earlier. Uvalde mayor said they had 5 car chasers before noon.
Yes, these mayors, the mayors you spoke with, are desperate, and they need help. And they're not receiving it from an administration that has ignored their pleas. The border mayors have been saying this for the duration of the Biden administration, and this is an administration that Joe Biden ran on the promise of not deporting people when he came into office for the first 100 days, and it really has been the trend well beyond that. You've got millions of people pouring across the border. They are of the opinion that they will stay in the country because the majority of them actually do. I remember a kind of an infamous exchange between Griff Jenkins and an illegal immigrant crossing into the United States in September of last year, where he asked, why are you here? What's happening? And he said, well, the border's open. The border's open. And he goes, but you came illegally. He goes, yes, illegally, not legally. I'm here illegally. They know that the border is open for business, and despite the fact that Mayorkas keeps on insisting it's closed, the reality is that the Border Patrol knows it's open. Raul Ortiz, the Border Patrol chief, said that in March of this year. It is open, and it continues to be the case, and it's only getting worse.
We're looking live in Tijuana at the wall there, and on the other side, and there's there's a lot of aspects to this. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says Joe Biden's immigration calamity. It's important to recall how we got here. Democrats campaigned against the Trump administration's policies as cruel. Upon taking office, President Biden ended such Trump-era policies as remain in Mexico. The signal went out to migrants that the border was essentially open. If you entered the U.S. and claimed asylum, the chances were good you would be admitted with a future date for an asylum tribunal you may never have to show up for. Millions of migrants took the hint and came in record numbers. The bottom line is we're a long way from a solution. And the politics of this heading into a presidential election is going to be pretty significant.
Yeah. Well, the Biden administration was anticipating these photos, these images coming from the border. They've had 2 years to prepare for it, and really how they handle the next few weeks, how much chaos we see from the border, could really have an impact on Biden, his reelect, and poll numbers that are already quite low in the area of how he's handled the border and immigration. And we've seen how the former president last night in the CNN town hall talked about reinstating family separation policy at the border. So it's only going to, I think, ramp up in terms of its importance to conversation on the election.
Speaking of which, that town hall on CNN got a lot of attention, raised some eyebrows with some specifics that the former president said. One of them was about the debt ceiling and default. Jamie Dimon weighing in on that after he said it. Take a listen.
I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default.
One more thing you guys know very much about.
So there was reaction to that. Other things in that town hall. What was your impression? I assume you watched it.
I think that Donald Trump absolutely owned that situation, and I'm not surprised by it at all. And I think that the consternation that's playing out at CNN currently is one that is absolutely to be expected. Look, if you are of the opinion that Donald Trump is someone who can easily be beaten in a general election, I would like you to reevaluate your priors and to not just go along with the assumption, I think, held by a lot of Democrats and a lot of leftist commentators, that he is inevitably going to be someone who is easy to beat in the general. Instead, I think he is a very serious contender for that, and incidents and events like what happened last night are only going to bolster him.
I'm concerned about the way the American left reacted to the leading presidential candidate in the entire race getting a town hall on CNN. There has been a lot of aggression just over the last week, and of course after last night, from the left saying that Donald Trump should not be given a platform. The reality is if the election were held today, Washington Post ABC says he beats Joe Biden, and that means he deserves a platform.
It is tough, I'll say, to fact check real time. Kevin Collins was trying to do it, and that format is interesting. It's not a debate, it's a town hall.
Yeah, it's a town hall. Caitlin Collins, the moderator, was trying to fact check him in real time, and that's sort of an impossible task. And the audience there was filled with a lot of New Hampshire Republicans. You could hear in the audience cheering Trump on as he was answering questions or even insulting Caitlin Collins.
All right, panel, thanks. Finally tonight, a special delivery.
The president was like, well, we'll just seat her on stage and give her her diploma and get her in and out.
This pregnant woman had her hands full on graduation day, almost. Henry Ford College student Kelsey Hubby, 38 weeks and dilated Saturday. She insisted on going on stage to get her degree. She said she would carry her newborn with her if necessary. It wasn't, but she did go to the hospital right afterwards. The baby was born Monday. Congratulations to her. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. Jesse Waters' Prime Time starts right now. I'm trying to be really good on time. Jesse.
No, you nailed it to the T. Thanks.
Hi. The hell was that, Parkour Horse? She like turned herself off the side of the.
They promised they'd never do that. No, they didn't tell you when a woman's in a car.
Quick. Is that big that you have to parkour? Turn?
He played it in two companies. CNN did something much, much worse. They talked to Republican frontrunner and former President Donald Trump. They called it a Republican primary town hall, meaning CNN was supposed to ask questions about topics that Republican voters care about.
Laying on the red chair, looking all cute.
CNN talked to a real Republican, so they think you care about the same thing they do.
Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged
A
the
deadly riot
2020
at the Capitol.
election results. Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happened. Most people understand what happened. That was a rigged election.
Now, right off the bat, they got Trump to talk about the past instead of the future, 2020 instead of 2024. They knew Trump was going to take the bid, and he did. Now, if Trump wants to talk about 2020, there's plenty to talk about, but you can't get lost in the weeds, and you have to move it from 2020 to 2024. For instance, we know it was unfair, but instead of drilling down on the ballot stuffing, the president should talk about voter ID, how to make voting easy and cheating hard, how Republicans should harvest, and how every state should run the election like Florida, when you get the results that night. Now, the key unfairness factor of that election, besides the loose COVID rules, was the CIA and the FBI interfering in the election. We know they did that. Intelligence agencies conspired with Silicon Valley to censor the laptop, censor the free press, censor free speech. And they ran a disinformation campaign against you, the American voter. That's where you go with it. Now, after the 2020 election, CNN obviously wanted to talk about January 6th.
Will you pardon the January 6th rioters who were convicted of criminal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control.
Yeah, that answer was a play for the base. A grandfather wandering peacefully through the Capitol sent to federal prison for 3 years. We get it, but the president has to be careful here. You can't pardon anybody that committed an act of violence. That's like handing a loaded gun to the Democrats who are already so weak on the police issue that that's got to make sense. So, we got stolen election, we got January 6th, next comes the rape case.
What do you say to voters who say it disqualifies you from being president?
Well, there aren't too many of them because my poll numbers just came out. They went up. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too.
So Trump was just convicted in a civil case of sexual misconduct starting 20 years ago in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room. But it doesn't hurt Trump. You can't Me Too him. They've tried. And if you want to open that up, the party of Epstein, Weinstein, Bill Clinton, Hunter Biden, enough. And you're giving the former president an opportunity to trivialize it and tell stories.
I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog, or her cat, was named Vagina.
So CNN walked right into that. Didn't even see it coming. Every time they make a flimsy political allegation against Trump, they put themselves on trial. And it never looks good for them. Now, what everybody wants and expects from Donald Trump, if he wins re-election, is strong, competent economic management.
If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. Energy independent. We were soon going to be energy dominant. And nobody had ever done what I do.
That's what the country wants right there. That's what the country needs. The question is the country willing to swallow Donald's drama in exchange for strong, competent economic management? And we don't know that yet. If Donald Trump can make the election about that, he wins. He was elected the first time because he was a businessman. And here he is on the debt ceiling negotiations.
If they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do
I didn't know you didn't eat the other candy bar. I got you another one today.
Do it for because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave.
You said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office. So why is it different now?
Right, gobble it all down in one sitting, like I did.
No, I do.
That tells you everything you need to know about him. It's as honest as you can get. And it's why people love him. He's a businessman playing a politician. And he admits that you use tactics when you're in power and out of power. Politicians never do that. And that's why everybody hates politicians, because they pretend they don't play both sides. Here's President Trump on the
pocket.
fallout.
We're in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk
Found my
about
private stash,
radicalism.
my binge eating stash.
In the 9th month,
Then I go stick my finger down my throat and get rid of it. Look like a supermodel.
So Republicans have had a hard time articulating their positions on abortion since it was going back to the states. But what Trump did here strategically was smart. The radicals are the partial birth abortionists. Republicans don't need to be defensive on that issue because most of the country agrees that abortion should be legal in the first trimester. But everything after that is a horror show. Now, if Republicans want to win, they have to hold the line and think about late term. So CNN tried to play gotcha the whole night. Executives had fed Caitlin Collins a slew of gotcha questions designed to box in the likely Republican nominee. But his responses were clever. Listen.
Do you believe that Putin is a war criminal? He's responsible for the deaths of thousands of Ukrainian women.
I think it's something that should not be discussed now. It should be discussed later. Because right now we have to go to war. If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot tougher to make a deal to get this thing stopped. Because if he's going to be a war criminal, where people are going to go and grab him and execute him, he's going to fight a lot harder than he's fighting, you know, under the other circumstances. That's something to be discussed at a later date.
So Trump's already looking ahead to the open. He's not going to say something that made a few people happy in the primary that limits his range of motion as commander-in-chief. War negotiations are delicate. You can't bring baggage to the table. He knows Putin's a war criminal. Everybody does. But he doesn't need the Senate because you have to maintain relationships among statesmen. So CNN tried to trip him up again, and it didn't work. Watch.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking out.
So that's a typical Trump answer, out of the box. Isn't CNN so basic? Did the Americans win the Vietnam War? Did we win in Afghanistan? Did we win the Korean War? No. Trump's running to end the war. And that's dangerous for him politically because that's not the policy of the entire foreign policy establishment. That's not the policy of the CIA, the Pentagon, the national security state. So again, Trump's at odds with the deep state. He's up against it again. And after the gotcha questions didn't work out, CNN started fact-checking. But Caitlin didn't have all the facts straight. Watch.
Why is it that Biden had 9 boxes in Chinatown? And he gets a lot of money from China. Why is that? And why are
Mr. President, I need to stop you right there because there's no evidence of what you just said there. What you're referring to there is an office that he had after leaving the vice presidency. He had a temporary office. But I want to ask you about another investigation.
You don't know the subject.
I do know the subject.
He had one in the University of Pennsylvania, but he also had 9 boxes in Chinatown.
Collins is wrong. Even CNN confirmed Biden had boxes in Chinatown. She wasn't prepared. She just called Trump a liar in front of millions of people, but when CNN put out a fact check of Trump this morning, they didn't even mention he was right about the Chinatown documents. So this whole fact-checking in real-time thing is just an excuse to interrupt the candidate, the Republican candidate, and argue with the Republican, slow him down. And politics is always open to interpretation. Did Trump secure the border? Was the election fair? Did Biden cooperate with the feds over documents? It's all open to interpretation.
They raided my house. They didn't raid the house of Joe Biden. They didn't raid Obama.
Joe Biden didn't ignore a subpoena to get those documents back like you did. That's the question. But that's the question that investigators have, I think, is why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Can I do mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to you. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Oh, that reporter right there, face on CNN. You're a very nasty person. She was. She's being a bitch. She's just trying to get him to pop off and like say something stupid, and everybody's gonna be like,
perfect performance. Here he is on the border.
Another immigration policy you had was the zero-tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you were reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
But when you have that policy, people don't come. If the family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building the prisons for
re-implement that?
So remember, Trump instituted family separation and then did 180 on it, so it's not clear what his policy is going to be on this if he's president again. But the border, he should slam dunk. And the president closed strong. Listen.
I will tell you this. We are really putting it to Biden, but he's putting it to himself because the economy stinks, inflation is horrible, and the border is a disaster. And by the way, the way he got out of Afghanistan was the single most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
I mean, that was a very, very strong close right there. And then after the town hall aired, the media was hysterical.
Okay, folks, it is not news what happened tonight at 8 p.m. on another network, and there is no sense in fact-checking or replaying the highlights.
I think it was a profoundly irresponsible decision, and I could not have disagreed with it more. It was shameful.
What I didn't know was that the audience would be filled with his cult. I would like to know if CNN was passing out Kool-Aid before the event started.
It was disgraceful on every level, and what I saw last night at least was as chilling as anything I've seen on television since January the 6th.
Okay. So CNN made a business bet and make a move for the Republican primary and pivot away from the old CNN. They're trying to normalize themselves again, plus get ratings, which they got. And Biden's team seemed to be like they were licking their chops after watching the town hall. They're already cutting up Trump's comments on January 6th and the rape thing into ads. You expect that? And the rest of the media is livid because CNN broke the code. Trump was supposed to be censored and isolated out of the mainstream. Now, the mob only works when everybody's on the same page, but CNN cracked. Now Trump's got his foot in the door. And for Donald, huge win. Calm, relaxed, charming, energetic. And he's back on mainstream TV. El DeSantis, still governor. So how's this going to position the president going into the summer? Let's turn it over to Judge Janine Pirro, my co-host on The Five. Do you think he walked into any dangerous areas on 2020, January 6th, the women issue?
I think that the dangerous areas for Donald Trump, or what they thought would be dangerous areas for him, turned out to be areas where he was able to literally manipulate so the audience was cheering him. And by the way, this wasn't an audience that was all Trump supporters. This is Republican primary voters. But I think that what Donald Trump did last night was what he did to 17 others on a presidential Republican primary in 2016. He literally leveled everyone out. And I think Trump established himself as a Republican presidential candidate for 2024.
The questions on Ukraine, Russia were very smart in the primary, could be very, very beneficial to him in a general. But then the CIA is going to rip his throat out because they're making a fortune over there, and it's a proxy where they're trying to destroy the Russian state. Do you think that could be an issue?
You know, I think that the American people have already seen what the CIA is capable of, and we saw that they made a political play themselves when they 51 of them signed on to say that the Hunter's laptop was Russian disinformation, and now they admit it. Mike Morell is admitting it, that they wanted to give Joe Biden a talking point. But I have to tell you, Jesse, and I thought your opening was great, that Donald Trump came out, he was confident, he was unflinching, he was unafraid, he came out calm, he was in control of that room. He literally steamrolled Collins.
And then when you allow him to stand up in that town hall format, that really shows the energy that he has, especially when you contrast that with Joe Biden.
Right.
The interrupting, the constant need to do the fact-checking. Do you think they're going to be able to keep that up? It's annoying as a viewer.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
They don't do it with Democrats.
They don't do it with Democrats, but you see, that's what the liberals do, and that's the reaction afterwards. It's like, why did they turn it off? Why did they do it in the first place? So the left is furious, and, you know, some people on the right who moved on are furious. But here is a president who's been through so much since he left office. I mean, think about all the things that's happened to him. He comes out with more verve, more energy than the president of the the United States. He wants to talk about issues like the economy, inflation, energy independence, the border, and they want to talk about, just as you said in your open, all the old issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a win for Donald Trump.
I think it's going to give him a little momentum going into the summer, Judge.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. House Republicans put a CIA director under oath today. We'll have that inside story next.
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms.
With my psoriatic
Why
arthritis
are you
symptoms.
coming running?
We're just okay. This is okay.
And I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms after a TNF blocker like Humira or Envoque, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can dramatically relieve RA and PSA symptoms, including fatigue for some. It can stop joint damage, and in PSA, can leave skin clear or almost clear.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occur. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
I love that I'm taking something that's healthy for me, and it's maintaining my blood pressure.
It's giving us more energy.
Circulation, heart health.
You can feel the difference.